Howdy folks, Little John out in the brewery. Wasn't planning on doing a video today, but I'm going to knock out a quick one. In response to this beer, this is the Isolation Ale, American IPA. I did back early on in the enforced isolation that myself and Mrs. Little John went through early in COVID due to her treatment and whatnot. But I'm not really wanting to talk about this particular beer. This is just what's led me to this what I want to touch on today. So before I do that, I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Patreons. Guys, cheers. It's always good to have the support from you guys. Anyone interested in becoming a Patreon, hit the link down the bottom. So it's all about. Subscribers also, thank you very much. If you aren't subscribed, hit the button down here in the corner. If you like the videos you're watching it, hit the like button. All these things help me out, which means I can give a little bit more to you fellas at home, or you ladies at home, whichever way it should be, or those gender neutral, non-specific people at home. What I want to talk about is hopping of IPAs. Well, not just IPA, hopping of any beer to some degree, and this current craze to just dry hop or late, absolutely no boil hop. So many beers at the moment. And anyone, if you've been watching any of my reviews, you'll see I've torn into a few beers over this very issue, and the fact that brewers aren't making beers that are surviving any length of time in cans or bottles, and us poor smucks at home, the consumer, quite often getting stuck with an underbloody, a beer that's not what it should be, not at the quality we should be getting it. And this beer really touches on a lot of the points I've been making, and that is using your hops in a way to give your beer plenty of hop flavour and aroma, but also giving it some longevity, so it's going to survive for a little bit, and you don't have to drink it in 3 days within it being kegged to enjoy it. So obviously this, I've done tasting video on this previously. The links are up here, up the top here. But tasting videos would have been done when this was still reasonably youngish. I have now, and I haven't checked. I said I've sat down. I was doing other things. I've just unpacked my monthly beer pack, which, got to say, Craft Cartel guys, beers are super fresh. Everything except for one has been packaged, that I can tell, in July, and most of them on the second half of July. So really pleased about that. Things seem to be getting back to normal with the actual freshness of the beers, which is a good thing to see, and that's going to be great for everybody just in general. But I've just poured a glass of the IPA off the keg, and I was just about to go inside and do a few things, and it just got me thinking that I've taken a nice whiff of this. It got me thinking about these bloody no boil, or very late editions, mainly Whirlpool and hop stand driven beers and dry hopping. This beer is 4 months to the day since it was bottled or kegged. And I've been finding with this one, as it's going, it's developed, the fruitiness in this beer, it's just starting to round up, and it's really becoming quite a settled number. It's probably tipped its peak and starting to come down the other side a little bit. But as I said, right now it's 4 months old and it's still standing up. There's plenty of flavour, there's plenty of nose. Yeah, there is starting to be a little bit of fade from what it was even, say 2 weeks ago. But what I want to touch on is just the hopping schedule of this beer. Now, and why it is holding up so well at 4 months of age, and why I recommend doing some degree of this in your big hoppy beers to make sure they survive a little bit. We can't all just smash out a brew and drink it in 2 weeks, especially big IPAs. Now, if you talk, this one's only 5.4%. This is only quite light, but anything that's, they start pushing the 6 or 7% beers, you're not drinking an oodle amount of them. You're probably drinking something else as well. So they tend to last a little bit longer in the keg. So this one was hopped at 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute of the boil, and it had a flame out addition. So before the end of the boil, it's had 4 hop additions. It's had a hop addition at flame out. It's then had 2 additions in the whirlpool, one for 20 minutes, one for 10 minutes, and then dry hopped day 3 and dry hop day 7, for a total of 8 hop additions. Yeah, it seems a bit excessive, but realistically, 5 of those hop additions have happened, actually 6 have happened on brew day. So not a big issue. It's only the 2 dry hops that have required some extra time. And what it's getting is it's layered up the flavours. There's enough boil hops, and what we're looking at was a gram a litre of Columbus at 20 minutes, 1.1 gram a litre of Centennial at 10, 0.9 of Simcoe at 5, then some Citra at 1 minute. All the boil hops, they're a gram a litre, or thereabouts. They're not big amounts, but they've provided some nice hop backbone, and it stays there. The nose stays, and the flavour stays. If that was all whirlpooled and dry hopped, the nose would be gone and there'd be no flavour there. I'd be getting some sort of stringy mess of weird malt and strange leftover hop bloody presence that's not really doing anything, and it'd be disappointing. But as it sits 4 months in the keg, I'm drinking it and it's quite enjoyable. It's still got the malt flavour exactly as it should be. The hops are there. There's some fruit and dank and a little bit of pine. There's touches of mango and orange. The citrusy notes, touch of passion fruit. It's all there. Like I said, it is starting to fade. But realistically, at 3 months of age, I think this beer was at its peak. I can't recall the last time I picked up a commercial beer that was 3 months old and went, and it believed it to be anywhere near at its best. Now, we can't control the beers we buy. We can't control, well, we can to some degree, but we have very little control over how fresh those beers are. You're at the mercy of the bottle shops and the transportation networks and all the rest of it, and and finance and stuff, when you can buy beers, when you can't. So we're quite often not able to get beers in that fresh period, and this has been my gripe. The breweries aren't allowing for this in the brewing process, in the recipe creation. But as home brewers, we can. We have the control. We can do it any way we like. So if you're a new brewer or an experienced brewer and you've got into this big craze for the hazy beer and the big dry hopping and all the rest of it, and you're possibly finding that your beers are lacking a little bit reasonably quickly, that they're fading and they're not holding the flavour and that character that you originally put in the beer, then maybe it's the hopping profile that you need to look at. Maybe it's your hopping schedule. How you're using the hops. Not the hops you're using or how many you're using, but how you're using them. This beer was a 14 litre batch. It does have a total of 200 grams of hops. It's not lightly hopped. So that works out to be about 15 grams a litre. Somewhere around there. A bit under, maybe about 14 grams a litre. So it's not massive. But it's holding up, and it's probably holding up far better than something that's got 23, 25 grams a litre or more that died 6-8 weeks ago. I mean, that's just just touching on the isolation. Anyone who is interested, that's quite nice. It is a nice recipe's come out well. 100% Marisota. Go and have a look at it if you're interested. But listen, it's more about looking at how you're using your hops. Don't just rely on everything after the boil, because it is going to fade awfully quickly. A little bit of hops, and in this case, 29, 41, 51 grams of hops in the boil. 51 grams, not a lot. And I've got a beer that's held up for a couple of months. I'm expecting this keg to blow within the next glass or two. So it's held its flavour from the time I brewed it right through to the end of the keg. It's held up. It's drinking the way it should. It's got flavour. It's enjoyable. I'm not going, oh geez, this is bloody not what it was. Getting to that point where you start thinking about, do I just dump the keg and refill it with something fresher? You shouldn't have to worry about that. So anyway, that's me. Gonna rack off. So just wanted to do just a quick touch on that, because it is something I do really get the irks from. So again, as always, if you got any comments, any questions, stick them down the bottom. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there in the corner. Patrons, there's always stuff for you guys. If you're interested, have a look down the bottom. But other than that, I'm out of here. Little John, I'm done. So until I see you again, we're brewing beer, drinking beer or talking beer. Good brewing.